Good evening. At this time, I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of Mayor and Council on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would rise for the invocation by Councilman Mike Bradley.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day you have given us. Thank you for allowing us to live in a country where we can deliberate and compromise for the betterment of mankind. Please bless the people in this room and give them faith, wisdom, courage, and strength each and every day as we make decisions to benefit our city. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. If you remain standing for pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Are there any changes to the agenda for tonight's meeting?
No, sir, there are not.
Okay. At this time, we're going to move over to the approval of the budget workshop meeting number 1, the minutes of May 6, 2025. The minutes are in your packet. If there are no questions or comments regarding those minutes, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the minutes of the budget workshop meeting on number 1 on May 6, 2025.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Quillen. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
And a second from Councilman Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. I'm going to move over to the minutes for approval on the regular meeting on May 27th, 2025. Again, those minutes are provided in your packet. If there are no questions or comments regarding those minutes, I'll accept a motion for approval.
Councilwoman Grassett, I make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on May 27th.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Grassett. Is there a second?
Councilman Bradley, I second the motion.
A second from Councilman Bradley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, those pass unanimously. Okay. At this time, I believe we're going to turn it over to Bill Bennett to make an introduction. Excuse me, our Director of Electric, Bill Bennett. Excuse me.
Yeah. Evening, Mayor and Council.
Good
City
evening.
Manager.
Good evening,
sir.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Logan Price. He's our newest hire as a groundman. He started in February, but he had a prior commitment for Tuesday, so he couldn't come see you until tonight. His 4.5 months he's been here, he's been doing excellent work, and I think he'll be a great asset to the city of Seaford and the electric department.
Excellent.
Logan.
Welcome aboard, Logan.
All right. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the team. At this time, we're going to move over to public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to participate in public comment?
We have 2 people for public comment. Dan Cannon.
Mr. Cannon, if you come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just to be upfront, please understand that I believe that the needed wastewater improvements that we're contemplating are good. But unnecessary wastewater treatment expansion is bad. Now, in response to my request, Mr. Anderson was kindly enough to provide me with a quantitative justification for the wastewater treatment expansion and stated in part, expansion to 80% capacity would provide about 1.24 million gallons a day of additional capacity. This was 4,960 new EDUs, EDUs being the standard measure for wastewater treatment flow. Fleshing out what I see as a problem, Mr. Anderson's figures show clearly that the city estimates an EDU value of 250 gallons per day to make these calculations. While the variables make estimating EDUs tricky, my inquiry suggests the normal residential EDU values for a family average of about 185 gallons per day not 250 gallons per day. This lower usage seems very consistent with the effects of recent and future water-saving efficiencies for toilets, washers, dishwashers, faucets, showers, etc., as well as trends towards smaller and smaller family sizes. Mr. Anderson also stated, our city's goal is to have this expansion address our needs of 165 EDUs of growth annually for 30 years. This 30-year goal would produce about 4,950 new EDUs. However, a much lower average EDU value of 185 gallons per day would produce not 4,950, but 6,700 new EDUs. That's 1,750 new EDUs above the city's goal. Further, all the above documentation are at the 80% level of proposed expansion. An additional 20% expansion will produce at least an additional 1,250 EDUs. Altogether, total planned capacity expansion to 3 million gallons a day would produce 7,950 new EDUs, some 3,000 new EDUs above the city's stated goal. Planned wastewater treatment capacity expansion from today's 1.45 million gallons per day to 3.0 million gallons a day appears grossly excessive, a real and grossly expensive problem. Therefore, I call upon Mayor and City Council to give this excessive wastewater treatment capacity expansion further examination. To be fair,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Okay, you said you had somebody else for public comment?
Yes, we also have Jim Thompson here for public comment.
Mr. Thompson?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in and make our feelings known. Looking forward to hear what Chief Kraft has to say tonight about the calming measures of the speeding issues on Nyland Boulevard. Did want to make a point that in order to enforce this, we have not had a posted speed limit on that sign for about 3 years. The north section or extension of Nylon Boulevard, I thought when we first moved in like 4 years ago, there was a sign close to the gym and hiding in the bushes. But I've looked and there is no sign from either direction. So that would be important for that. The other thing is the timing of the traffic lights on Stein Highway, although is much improved since the construction is done and everything, has a big effect on how the cars come down our street. People are looking to avoid those lights. They're looking to avoid sitting there for the longer timing cycles of the lights, and that's a big issue as well. As far as the proposal of possible speed bumps, that's something I don't necessarily favor as much. Personally, with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, I don't want to be driving a truck over a bump at 25 miles an hour, and it would really reduce the amount of that you could do on the block. So, again, looking forward to what the Chief Kraft has to say. And the other point, just really briefly, is in other borough and council meetings I've been before, public comment was always later, at the end. Once the presentations were made and everything, then there was questions and answers and public comment at the end of the session, which would make some sense because I don't know what the chief is going to present tonight. So, okay. So again, thank you for your time, and I appreciate what's being done.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is there anyone else online for public comment? No? Okay. If there's no one else for public comment, we're going to move over to correspondence.
We have no
No
correspondence, sir.
correspondence, okay.
No, sir.
Move on to new business number 1 and the presentation for the approval of the 2026 budget.
So good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We are going to present the FY26 budget tonight for approval. Just a little bit of background in the developmental process. The department directors and supervisors submitted their operating and capital budgets, all their projected overtime, holiday overtime, standby hours on March 3rd. So this process started way back near the beginning of the year with a lot of work from the staff. I want to thank them for the presentation you're going to see, all the work that they did. I also want to thank the council for the time they put in. During the month of April, several internal meetings were held to reduce the projected deficit and prioritize the budget requests. As council knows, there was a lot in our budget. There were a lot of needs in our city, a lot of capital items that the directors truly needed, a lot of personnel issues that people needed, but we worked together well to reduce this budget deficit. We did hold budget meeting number 1 on May 26 with the mayor, the council member, council members, staff, and representatives of our fire department. They attended this year. We held budget meeting number 2 on May 20th, and we went back over additional items as requested by the city council. Just want to talk about the FY26 budget, what's included, the addition of equipment and vehicles in the police department, maintaining the staff levels, and the idea the chief has put forward, and his goal is to maintain citywide public safety and increase that. Investments in reliable domestic water production with the relocation of the nylon well, funding for phase 1 of the wastewater treatment plant headworks upgrades. And the good news is the city continues to see steady customer growth that contributes to increasing revenues in our enterprise fund, water, sewer, electric, and even golf. This is due in large part to consistent increases in residential housing and commercial developments. The economy is still moving forward at a good rate. All these numbers that you're going to see tonight are basically, most of them are out of the budget summary that is in your packet. FY26 total revenue with internal transfers is just over $69 million. We show the 4-year trend there on all of these slides so we can get a look at where it is and where it's headed, where the trends are headed. This is the largest budget by far the city of Seaford has ever done. FY26 total revenues without internal transfers, just wanted to show this. The sewer fund is the largest this year. That's in large part due to the loans, because we look at loans as revenue in our budgeting process. Typically, the electric fund is the largest because of the power sales to our customers, so on and so forth. But this is just one of those anomalous years where the sewer fund is larger this year. General fund revenue is just above $10 million, so it's higher than the last 2 years, but a little bit lower on par with FY23. Golf fund revenue, this is a good story. Golf fund revenue is up this year, $431,000. Some of council will remember in years past when we first bought the golf course, we did have to lean on our revenues. So the golf course is on its own. It is returning revenue to the city of Seaford. So that's the good news. Water fund revenue is up $6.4 million. Again, in that is a lot of capital projects. So, but our water fund has been increasing over the last several years. It's froze up on me. Sewer fund revenue, just above $25 million. Again, large loans in there for some of the projects that we have. Electric fund revenue, pretty steady, but it is increasing due to increased loads that we've projected, increased customer sales, just over $21.8 million. We do use transfers from our enterprise funds to run the general fund, so we really watch that. The general fund transfer from our electric fund, so once we sell all the electric, there is profit there after we've done everything we need to with our department. So that is just above $3 million this year. It's down slightly from the last 2 years, and that was one of the reasons we had a budget deficit we had to work on this year. Transfer from the sewer fund is up, as you can see, over the last 4 years, and it goes back further than that. We have been really leaning on the sewer fund to balance our budget. So that number is up to $1.9 million this year in FY26, projected to be. Leaning on the water fund just as well, although not to the extent of the sewer fund. FY26, we're leaning on that for a transfer to general fund of almost $300,000. This is total expenditures. The total expenditures for the city without internal transfers is just over $63 million, almost $64 million. Electric distribution, obviously buying wholesale power from DMEC is our largest expense. And then typically in municipal government, you see police there being the next largest expense. That's typical in municipal government. Ours is at 18%. That's what we find. Capital requests, this is the reason why the budget is so large. It is at $27.56 million. That's the largest capital request budget we've done ever. You can see the trend there the last few years. A lot of these projects have carried over, the nylon well, the headworks expansion. So that's why the last few years have been large. Total capital requests is at $27 million. We just like to point this out. Capital funded with city funds is only $1.3 million, and then funded with grant funding is $8.8 million. So our staff works very hard to look for grant funding opportunities, work those. Our finance department works very hard to make sure these grants are processed and we receive our money. And then funded with loans this year, that's very large, just over $17 million. This is budgeted property tax collection. So the good news there is this last year, our increase in taxes is projected to be $63,000 more than FY25. We do put in every budget presentation what a 1 cent tax increase would be, $77,000. That there are no tax increases proposed in this budget. But in FY26, we are projected to collect about $2.6 million in taxes. Realty transfer tax collection, that's another line item we really look at because that goes up and down with the economy. And this slide, just to orient you a little bit, that is what we've collected from FY22 to FY25 and then what we project to collect in FY26. We're projecting to collect $700,000 in this budget, and it has been up over the last few years, FY23 being the largest year on this slide. And there were some large sales that year of some institutional buildings, I believe. Reserve account status, we always look at this. These numbers are as of 4/23/25. So you can see there our general fund reserve balance and our general fund restricted balance. They are growing, they're moving forward, that's what we like to see. Total reserves the city has as of that date was $18.8 million. Reserve account status, this breaks it down a little further. The Gulf Reserve has $1.2 million in it. Water Reserve about the same amount, a little bit more. Sewer Reserve is at $4.6 million, and then the Electric Reserve is just over $4 million. We show this slide. This is the reserve transfer history. So the gold bar is what we project to collect, or I'm sorry, what we project to utilize in the budget. The blue bar is what we wind up using, leaning on reserves. So from FY25, we were at $600,000 at the time we did this analysis. The budget has not obviously closed out yet, but in speaking with the Director of Finance, we are going to need all those reserves for this last year. In years past, we had not collected all or not utilized the reserves we had projected. We didn't hire people, people left us, we didn't finish projects. That doesn't always occur. We just like to look at what our performance is with this slide. Debt service, which we look at, total outstanding debt right now is only $4.6 million. You can see there how it's projected to go down over the next few years. Those are our payments calculated out. What's not shown in this slide is the $17 million worth of debt we're going to take on. So as we go forward, those numbers obviously will increase as we take on additional debt for projects in the enterprise funds. Charges for service, as discussed, the tax rate is 34 cents per $100 of assessed value. It's proposed to be the same in FY26. Water is 31.23 per EDU, proposed to be exactly the same in FY26, along with sewer, $60.88 an EDU, proposed to be exactly the same in this budget. There are no rate increases, no electric increases proposed at this time. We do look at this, water and sewer rates, as a percentage of income. So the median household income for Seaford is just over $51,000 annually. We look at the water rates, we do the combined total and do the math. Our median household income as a percentage, our rates as a percentage of median household income is 2.16%. The general rule of thumb is that 3% is an affordability threshold. So the rates are well below the affordability threshold for our income, the level of income of our residents. Just to talk about the water and sewer budget forecast just a little bit more, we do have a consultant look at our rates and do an evaluation. Smart Utility Management did that, and for the water and sewer rates, based on the increase that the city did in 2024, a 6% rate in July and an 8% increase in September, it's projected that both those water and sewer funds will collect an additional $496,000 or 10.7%. So that's the good news. There's more revenues coming in to offset increased costs in those budgets. Smart Utility Management did exactly the same analysis for the electric forecast, electric budget, and we didn't make any changes to the power cost adjustment clause. It stayed the same, but based on growth and expected sales, we are expecting an increase in that enterprise fund of $435,000, or about 2.4%. So that's good news, and a lot of that has to do with the growth that we're seeing in our city. One fee increase that we did discuss at budget hearings and is included in this budget is a rental license fee increase. Our building official did a presentation to council on that. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see all the other sister communities, what they charge, and he took the average and then the median rate, and he recommended a proposed rate of $100. Our current rate is $50. Council did say they wanted to move forward with that. The rental license go out at the end of the year, so there's ample time to notify the property owners, the landlords, and we meet monthly with the code department. The building official did suggest sending out a notice if council adopts this budget to them now, so they have 3 or 4 months to prepare for that before those licenses go out. So we will execute that based on his recommendation should council move forward with this. Just some staffing considerations. Council will recall that we did do a compensation analysis this year with Evergreen Solutions. We worked on that with them for about 4 months, and they did do an analysis of our existing pay plan, and it revealed that our pay plan was behind the market by approximately 10%. They gave us some options that was reviewed, and their recommendation was we went with the compa ratio recommendation, and that would realign people in their salary ranges, maintaining the relationship of the midpoint that they have currently to the existing pay plan into the new pay plan. So employees, in essence, won't backslide in the pay plan. So that was the recommendation after the presentation they gave. Council did approve and did ask us to include in this budget. And then on the next slide, there's some numbers just to talk about. The estimated cost to implement this for, and these are non-union employees, these are general employees. For those, I believe there's 59 of those employees in our census. That adjustment totals $293,000, just above it. It affected 50 employees, I apologize, with an average adjustment of about $5,800. So because we're doing this, and there's another slide that's later about the plan adjustment and the merit adjustment, we'll talk a little bit more of that. We're not doing any of that this year. We're implementing the recommendation of the consultant. We did also implement a floor, so no one will get below 4.5% wage increase with their annual wage increase. So when all was said and done, the average wage adjustment that was implemented and amounted to that $293,000 across the board was 9.1%. Just to talk about and council's used to seeing this, we've had the min, mid, and max pay plan for about 15 years now. And so annually what council does is based on our evaluations, we do plan adjustment. We do a plan adjustment and we do a merit adjustment. The plan gets adjusted based on inflationary factors, Social Security, other things, cost of living, and then there is a merit increase based on your performance evaluation. As stated earlier, we're not going to do that this year because the consultant did a detailed analysis of every position with the city, did an analysis of that, and everyone is getting over the 4.5%, an average of 9.1%. So those are some of the largest raises we've done in recent history. Just to talk a little bit more about total payroll in FY26, it's projected to be $8.1 million, up from 7.7 in FY25. So total increase in payroll there is about 6.1%. Again, you see that number, the general employee wage increase of $230,000. And then we do have two contracts with two entities in our workforce, the police contract, the Teamsters contract for sworn officers, that expires 6/30/26. So we're contractually obligated to them. That increase this year is projected to be $213,000. And then we have the electric department, and that's the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers. And that department's relatively small. Their contract expires 6/30/26 as well, but that pay increase is projected to be $24,147. Again, just to talk a little bit more about the police department existing staffing. Currently, we have 31 sworn officers. We budgeted last year for 34 officers, and that was our goal, that was our intent. But unfortunately, we had no viable applicants this last round in advance of the academy, so we were unable to put anybody in this last academy. And I will say the deputy chief and the chief tried very hard. So it was no fault of our own that the applicants are just not out there. The police chief, who is here and certainly can answer any questions the council might have, he's recommending maintaining that 34 budgeted positions. So we still have 3 to hire. We got to get from 31 to 34 if no one else leaves us. So that is in this budget, maintaining the 34 positions. Just so everyone's aware, we're down 3 officers. We're going to work very hard to fill those positions for the next academy. And I think that is the last slide that we have. Again, I want to thank the directors and the supervisors who are here, specifically the Director of Finance who worked tirelessly on this budget. Thank the council for everything that they've done, working with us and putting up with some of our last minute stuff. But certainly we are here, we can answer any questions the council might have.
It is a lot of information in a short window there, City Manager. Appreciate it. Are there any questions from the council on the information that was just provided? Okay. If there are no questions at this time, I'll set the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 budget as presented.
Yeah, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Dan Henderson. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make that motion.
A second from Councilman Orlando Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Before we move on to new business number 2, I just want to echo the sentiments of our city manager. For those in the public, the budget can be a tough process. It takes weeks, takes a lot of due diligence from various department heads, departments, our city leadership, our city council, everybody involved in that process. It does take a village to get this thing done, and I'm very proud to say that we got it done again this year without having to raise taxes on our residents. We listened to what they were telling us. We try to serve our public accordingly. Hopefully you are happy with this result. So move on to new business number 2. And
Okay, so we have, as referenced in the budget presentation, we're presenting for approval a revision to the fee and rate schedule that would increase the annual rental license fee to $100. I'll just state in your package is the red-lined fee and rate schedule, and on page 4 of 8, the rental license is about halfway down the page. You'll see there it's red-lined. It's changed from $50 to $100 per rental unit. And just again, we will send this information out to our landlord community, try to make everybody aware in the next several months that we have before the new license fees go out.
okay. Are there any questions from council regarding new business number 2? If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion.
Councilwoman Grassett, I make a motion to approve the revision to the fee and rate schedule that would increase the annual rental license fee to $100 as presented.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Grassett. Is there a second?
Councilman Quillen, I'll second it.
A second from Councilman Quillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Now on to new business number 3 and our police chief, Marshall Kraft.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
Thank you for having me. And I'll try to keep this brief.
Heard that before, Chief.
So obviously, we received a petition for potential to have speed humps on Nylon Boulevard extended because of the speeding complaints and concerns that were occurring. That triggered what was called a traffic study. So we began a traffic study, which started with a crash analysis. And as you can see, I kind of swung a large geographical boundary around that Woodside Manor area from Magnolia Drive west. But if we just focus on North Nylon Boulevard extended, there were 3 crashes over a 2-year period. So really in this particular situation, the crashes weren't really a significant factor that we're looking at. That's just one thing that we consider. So then we put up what's called the JMAR radar box, about midway down Nylon extended, somewhere just south of Oak. And what we did, we analyzed 2,735 vehicles. Average vehicles per day were about 684. The average speed of all vehicles analyzed showed 29 miles per hour. However, the fastest speed was 58 miles per hour. And when you look at the low speed of 6 and the high speed of 58, that's how they came up with the average. But I think what's important to look at is that 85th percentile, and we'll talk about that just a little bit here in just a minute. One of the other things, as Mr. Thompson has stated, there's no posted speed limit signs. That's one of the things that really did stand out. And even though under the statute, if it's not posted, it's 25 miles per hour, people don't see that, they don't realize that. They're looking visually down a long, wide road, and that's part of the problem. So it's a long, straight road. There's 3 T intersections. It's in a residential area, which means you could have people walking, crossing the road, riding bicycles, kids playing, things of that nature. And it's about 1,646 feet long. And you can see the distance between the different intersections there. And I was just talking with the liaison meeting last night, and I believe the consensus was it looks like it's about 50 foot wide, you know, but in reality it's about 35 feet wide. And the reason for that is because there's no painted lines for shoulders, it's very straight, and it is very open. That's part of the problem, you know, when you're looking visually. So I think it's important for everyone to understand a little bit about the 85th percentile. This is what traffic engineers look at when they're doing these traffic studies. Two schools of thought. One's a traffic engineer and others safe cities, right? Because safe cities, you're looking at the things we just said, pedestrians, bicyclists, kids playing, things like that, residential areas. But what it is, if you had 1,000 cars that were analyzed and you took the top 15%, which is the top 150 cars off of it, whatever that next speed is there is what traffic engineers tend to say is the normal speed at which most people feel comfortable driving. It's intuitive, they don't think about it, it's wide, it's open, and they just drive. They feel that it's safe. That doesn't mean that that's the speed limit, and that's part of the problem. So when traffic engineers do these things, we run into problems where we can't get them to agree to reduce the speed like we did out west of Seaford, if you remember. But there's other factors that we have to consider. And this is just another example. Wider travel lanes are correlated with higher speeds. So this is 85th percentile rule. If you look at that very first green dot there, just under 40 miles per hour, that shows about 37 miles per hour in a similar roadway. If we go back here, it absolutely plays into what our 85th percentile is, 37.5. So traffic engineers aren't wrong, but they're engineers. So then we come over here, and this is just one picture or snapshot from the JMAR radar box. And I put that up there just so you can see a little bit different types of analysis. If you look across the middle, all the way to the right, once again, 85th percentile, that's 37.5. And then if you look to the bottom, it shows your mean, median, and mode. So by traffic engineer standards, really you want to be within about 5 miles per hour of that. So realistically, someone could say 30 miles per hour would be a better set speed. That doesn't play in line with a residential area though. So I just want to point those things out. So we did some simulated drive times, no traffic, driving straight through the way the road design is now. It took 45.6 seconds. Then we simulated stopping. People probably saw us doing this multiple times out there. But we simulated stopping at the 3 different intersections, Fleetwood, Oak, and Petunia. And it took 1 minute, 10.83 seconds. Then we simulated it if we were to put one speed bump in on the southern side and then a traffic stop signs at the intersections of Oak and Fleetwood. And as you can see, stop signs actually do a better job disrupting the traffic, slowing traffic down. Right? And so our recommendation is to install stop signs. And I'm going to sound like Del Dot, and it's going to look like Route 20, but it absolutely does the job. So we're going to recommend installing stop signs north and southbound at the 3 intersections, Fleetwood Drive, Oak Street, and Petunia Place. That's a total of 6 stop signs. The good thing about recommending stop signs in this location is we can get it done very quickly. Talking with the Director of Public Works, that's probably a 2-week or less turnaround time. So, and it's relatively inexpensive, and it typically does do the job. So I did put a hybrid up here because I put in here that we always will come back and reanalyze the area to make sure that the recommendations are doing what they're intended to do. And I'm going to say it now, and I think I said it before, the speed humps should probably be an exception, not the rule. You know, number one, it is costly. Number two, it does impact for first responders and public works for doing snow removal and things of that nature. And they don't necessarily slow people down as much as stop signs do. But sometimes that might be the only option we have, especially if we don't have those intersections where we can interrupt the traffic. I just did a little visual aid for you here. Thankful for computers and not my drawings. But that gives you an idea where the stop signs would be. And then you can see adding speed limit signs is going to be the next recommendation on both north and southbound side. That's a very quick turnaround as well. And I've already had these conversations with Burley, Public Works Director. And as you can see, I'm going to talk in a minute about the speed trailer that we use that we were blessed to be funded for, because these things are huge. They're not just speed limit, posting your speed limit, but they also do traffic analysis, and they're also signboards. So we can use them once council makes a decision for the recommendation, so we can notify the public of the change of the traffic control devices. And so there's your speed limit signs. Post them on the north and south side. We've already deployed the speed trailers out there. I believe they probably see them on both sides opposite from one another. They'll go off and flash if you exceed the speed limit. And, you know, that's for awareness while we're in this stage right now. And we're going to keep those there. So once you give us the go, we're going to make the message board say whatever the recommendation is approved for. And of course, we've already enhanced the enforcement officers have already been deployed out there. Our traffic lieutenant's been staying on top of it. I'm anxiously awaiting a report to see how that's been going. But I do know citations have been issued before, during, and since the study. And like I said, we're going to use these speed trailers for messaging. We do propose to do a reevaluation after about 90 days or so. And we'll just go back out, put the JMOR box back up there. We won't use the speed trailers then. We'll pull them out. The JMOR box is just a small device that people really don't see, so they don't tend to change their driving patterns. And that way we can get a truer analysis of how things are going. And then we can report back to the city manager, and if necessary, come back before council. So as you can see, the conclusion is that the combination of the stop sign installations, the proper speed limits, increasing our presence and putting the speed trailers, I do believe that that's going to be effective in solving the problem without having to use such intrusive options like the speed humps. So that's our recommendation. And I'm available to answer any questions that anyone might have.
I have a question, Chief.
Yes, yes, sir.
You may have said it at the very top, and if
Okay.
you did, I apologize. Could you remind the public, if they are in a street or an area and they want to be considered, what are the requirements? What do they have to do
Considered for?
for additional speed enforcement?
That's simple, right? Just a phone call, to be quite frank. You know, if I get a call or if my patrol lieutenant gets a call or the deputy chief, what we do is we make sure that it's put out, number one, to the department. Actually, I have a whole new procedure that's going to be implemented soon. I'm just finishing up some fine-tunements on that so that we can be preemptive a little bit. And I think that, to Mr. Thompson's point, my plan and my hope is to include our advisory board, maybe have a couple community conversations moving forward when we get some of these types of complaints. Because that way we can make sure that we're all on the same page and we can get some more input from the community, like coffee with a cop, but maybe, community conversation kind of give everybody a little bit more input so we understand everybody's concern. We're doing a traffic study right now at East Ivy. That came down this week. That's 7 full days out there. And I'm waiting on recommendations from the traffic lieutenant, so I'll probably be back in a few weeks with another one. And then what you're going to see, hopefully I'll have those procedures in place, have a conversation with the vice mayor and the city manager, and then we can decide, how we want to proceed with that. But that might be kind of like a brief town hall meeting with different communities throughout the city, so we can be preemptive a little bit, not just in one area, but different hot spots.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so a couple things. There is a process, though, if you want to request speed bumps, because you have to have a certain
That is.
percentage. So I don't want to mislead people and think that they can call you guys to get a speed bump put in.
No, that's two different things. For speed enforcement and presence, that's just a phone call if you're having a problem. Facebook we do our best to monitor Facebook and Messenger, but we're not on it 24/7. I will tell you that we have made exceptional strides, I think, especially here since earlier this year. We've gone from 11,000 followers, it's extremely important to note, to almost 19,000 followers. And what that does, it gets the message out to the public. And we're working on other things to put out more information, set up meetings, and make people aware of concerns. And in that process, we do see comments, and we try to act on those. The best thing, though, is to call and us to talk to an administrator. And I'll preference that by saying, call the police department, ask to talk to, myself, the patrol lieutenant, or someone in administration. That way we know that it gets documented and the message gets out, because good intentions, sometimes people get busy and they forget to pass it on, and then we might not know about it. But as far as the speed hump petition, Councilman Quillen and I think the young lady over on East Ivy had completed those petitions, which prompted the speed study. But that doesn't mean we have to have that to do a speed study, right? That means if we get a concern, we're going to do a speed study. But I want people to understand that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to recommend a speed hump or that they're going to get one if there's a problem. We're going to look at everything holistically. Like nylon, some of the other things that we might have to do if it doesn't fix the problem might not necessarily be speed bumps. It might be the next thing is to paint the actual shoulder lines, because visually that's going to narrow the road and it's going to make people slow down, thinking now the road's not as wide as it was. Because these are genuine concerns at nighttime. Traffic's going to be parked on the shoulders. Someone's going to be riding a bike on the other side, and you really do have to slow down. But during the day, everybody's at work, it's wider, and you're going to have more problems. So these are all things I think that are factors, and that's everything that we take in consideration.
So the other thing I'd like to say is last night, my husband and I went door to door to every house on Nylon and Houston Street, because he is starting a neighborhood watch.
Great.
Our first meeting is June 16th at the police station.
Fantastic.
And as we did that, we did have conversations with everyone on Nylon about what was coming before us tonight.
Yep.
And so while everyone seemed very appreciative of the efforts to reduce speeding, and I will tell you in the probably 35 minutes or 40 minutes we were on Nylon, I didn't see anybody come down there that was going less than 30. They were usually 35, 37, somewhere like that. The one concern was the number of stop signs. And I hadn't even paid attention, I guess, to the one at Petunia Place. People were concerned about the 2, and now there's actually 3.
Yep.
The Petunia one would be the one I think I would really question, because when you first turn on that road, you're literally going to turn and be right at the stop sign. I mean,
Yep.
there's not much space there.
I don't necessarily
I mean, I know coming the other
disagree.
direction it would be different, but when you're turning on to Nylon, you're literally gonna.
Well, if we look at the hybrid 1A, that was one of the reasons I added that as an option, because it is a concern. It is a little closer to Stein Highway, although it's about the same distance from Stein to Petunia as it is between, say, Arbutus to Fleetwood, Fleetwood to Oak. The difference is the distance between Oak and Petunia, right? Or the distance between Oak and Stein if you do nothing. So I think putting a stop sign is better than doing nothing. The only other option would be is to put a speed bump. And I think right now at this point, I think, once again, I'll say it should be the exception, not necessarily the rule. But that's for council to make that decision. And I will say also, if we find that it is a problem, just like I think some of us have a concern with the all-way stops going in at Virginia and Bridgeville rather than a traffic light, we are all concerned that's going to back traffic up. Well, if that happens, we'll be making a recommendation to DelDOT and trying to follow it up with our own studies. We had to do 3 before they followed our recommendation out west of Seaford, for Montessori.
Because currently the timing on that light is atrocious. I mean, I will sit there for 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
Waiting to be able to turn left to get on Stein Highway. I mean, 6 minutes is a good guesstimate of how long I've had to sit there. So, we'll be backed up past Petunia.
Well, I can tell you, and Burley can tell you, is Burley still here? Burley can probably tell you, we've had back and forth with DelDOT. There's a person, the point of contact, and we've asked them to do. You get people on both sides. Some people want it to stay red longer to slow that traffic down, and other people think it's too long and they're finding other routes around and it causes more problems. So what DelDOT's done is gone back and said, we're setting it where it needs to be set. This is our recommendation. That's where it is. So it's a state maintained road. We have no control over it. We listen and we send it. Burley sends it. I've sent stuff just in the last few months, and that was even out on Sussex Avenue and West Stein Highway.
So are you saying what's there currently is their current recommendation?
Yeah, they said that they've tried to set it both ways, right? And this is just past that. This is on west, near Sussex Avenue. But they said it down that whole corridor, because no one, you can't make, I was just gonna say it, you can't make everybody happy, right? And DelDOT, I think, got tired of moving it, my opinion is, from slowing it down to speeding it up, and they're going back with what the recommendations were to start with, because no matter what they do, they're in a bad situation there. Like, you know, it's either keep it going one way or another, and that's all up to them. We don't have control over it.
Yeah, I know
you
that.
know, and I think every intersection is slightly different, and if you change one, you almost have to change them all, because you get them all out of sync, and they can't do that. So if it might be a little longer here, but that's what's needed here. And if they change it, it's going to throw everything out of whack. So that's what I believe is happening, and I think they're pretty well done adjusting. I can't tell you how many back and forths, but I bet you there's been at least a half a dozen or more. Yes, I hear you.
Councilman Holland, you got a question?
Chief, I'm by far out for them stop signs, and like I said, I like to say, no problem with 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, see how that goes.
Yeah.
And push come to shove, absolutely necessary. Put one midpoint, I would say,
Yeah,
slow them down right there,
yeah.
and then see how that goes, before throwing them all up at once.
The stop signs?
Yes, stop signs.
Well, we can't really just put them up midway. They got to go.
I mean that middle street.
They got to go right there for a three-way intersection for Fleetwood and Oak. Now,
So
the
the
council
middle
could
street
make
would
the
be-
decision to not put anything at Petunia, because I'm not necessarily in disagreement. My concern is the distance between Stein and Oak, not going to get any relief for that whole corridor, I don't think.
Chief, will you go back to your picture?
Yeah.
Did I go the wrong way? Yeah, I probably did. Sorry about that. That one?
All right, yeah, see, I'm saying that middle Oak Street, if necessary, put one there, that's the middle way.
So you're saying not put one at Fleetwood, just put one at Oak? And I'll say this,
If
it's about 1,000 feet roughly from Stein to Oak. And let me see. Yeah, so from Arbutus, that corner right there, going to Oak is about, let's see, a little under 700 feet. And then from Oak to Stein would be somewhere around, not quite 1,000 feet, right? It's midway, kind of.
Right.
But people coming across, going northbound from Nylon, coming across Stein Highway, have time to get up their speed. Speed limit sign will be there. That other Stein's going to be all the way down there. I just don't feel that that's going to fix the problem. I think it'll fix the problem, a big part of it coming maybe southbound. I don't know that it's going to fix it going northbound.
Or maybe the stop signs along with, you say, painting stripes,
Huh.
to make the road look narrow.
Yeah, no, I did talk to Burley about that, and that's a
Or just
consideration.
put
If
a center line down the center.
Yeah. So painting costs more money. It takes more time. I think talking to Burley, they could do that within 30 days. 30 to 60, I apologize. Within 30 to 60 days, they can do that. They can do the stop signs within 2 weeks or less. And this posted speed limit's 2 weeks or less. Speed bumps are probably 30 days. There's a whole host of ways that you can go with it. DelDOT has the traffic engineers. We're not traffic engineers, but we try to follow, the best practices. And, those are options. The council can make whatever decision that they feel's best. I'll support whichever, and then we'll continue to monitor. And if you want to just go with one set of stop signs, we'll put the speed limit signs, and we can come back and readjust if we need to down the road, if that's what you choose.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman?
just like to make some comments here.
Yes, sir.
It's definitely my road, and
Yep.
I'm the one that started all this. So I have quite a few complaints. I mean, we have 100% signature up and down that road there. What I see is when they come off Atlanta Road, they'll
Yeah.
come down Fleetwood, and then they'll barely stop, and then they'll just shoot right on down to Stein Highway. come off Stein Highway, and they do the exact same thing from Stein Highway all the way to Fleetwood, hit Atlanta Road and go out. So they're using Nylon Boulevard to avoid going to the traffic light on Atlanta Road and Stein.
Yeah.
And they use it, and they'll shoot down Petunia and go around Woodside Manor to try to get to Dollar General or someplace like that pretty quick.
Probably.
I think, I'm not in favor of putting all these stop signs up, I'll be honest with you, but I think it'd be a deterrent if we just put them in the Oak, three-way stop signs at Oak Street. Because now it's gonna deter them, because now they've gotta come down and they've gotta stop at the end of Fleetwood and then turn and stop at Oak. So it might deter them to go ahead and go straight on Atlanta Road to Stein Highway and use the light after all, okay? Now, when they come off of Stein Highway, yeah, they'll shoot on down there, but now they see a stop sign that they've gotta come to stop to. So by the time they pick up their speed about in front of my house, they'll have to slow down, okay? So,
Well,
unless you leave the digital,
yeah,
screens up there, I mean, that has been a big help.
yeah.
You actually see them slow down.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, because it draws their attention to what speed they're going.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely work, and we'll probably be relocating them
But you
here.
said that collects data also, so I'd like to see the data that they collected.
Yeah.
See if it has slowed them down since you put them.
No, I watched one woman come off Petunia and hit my house about 37 miles an hour, and by the time she got to the
Stop.
digital
Yeah.
thing, she
Let
was on
up.
41. So,
Well-
you slow her down.
Well, like Council Lady Grassett said, you know, and you just said, the speeds that you're seeing them is exactly what people feel comfortable driving, because there's nothing there to stop them. There's no visual to deter them, and they see a big, long, wide open road. So, you know, it's whatever the council would like, and obviously you live on that road. 2 council members live on that road, and you know that road better. And that's just one of the reasons I said that, you know, we're finally getting to some staffing where we got a little bit more resources. And it's not there yet, but that allows us a little more time to be more thoughtful about these things and get out in front of it and start meeting with people that are experiencing it so that we can get some input. We just simply haven't been able to do it. We don't live there. We work here and we're around the city all the time, but we don't see what you see, right? Because we're not there all the time, because we're in hot spots that, quite frankly, have life safety, crime type stuff, other things. But traffic safety is a big deal, because people can get killed from traffic safety too. We've had several pedestrians struck. Just last week we had another pedestrian struck over panhandling. That's why we got that ordinance for that. So that's why I want to start to do those things. I don't disagree with the distance, and that's why I put that option 1A on there. I think you probably picked up on that. That's a concern. I think I actually put that in that footnote there, that if we didn't put one there, that speed bump midway there would at least be a separator. But if the less intrusive option would be to put the 2 stop signs at Oak, and if everybody's comfortable with that, I'm certainly comfortable with it. It's easier to add them than it is to take them back out.
I think we just go with the signage for the posted signage for the speed limit, and go with the 2 additional stop signs at Oak Street. I'd like to see how that would deter people from using that street. Avoiding coming down that street a lot.
I think.
I was surprised with 684 vehicles coming up and down that street.
Yeah, 600, almost 700 a day.
Yeah.
Almost 700 a day.
And are we just going to shift them over to Woodlawn?
Well, it's just like I mentioned a while ago. We're doing East Ivy right now, and then the traffic lieutenant's been given a directive to go start to, you know, put the JMOR box on some of those other streets that we're predicting they're going to move. And this is no different than crime, right? Predictive policing. We go and hit a corner, and what do? They go to the next corner.
Moving target.
And it's a moving target. So people, you know, at the end of the day, that's human nature. And we don't have the resources to put people in every corner or in every street, everywhere in the city all at the same time or all the time. But I think how to eat an elephant, that's the kind of way I'm looking at this. One bite at a time, and we're going to take care of the problem, I think. And working together, I think, is going to make a big difference. So certainly, that's what we want to do anyway. Makes our job easier, and makes the community safer, and makes everybody happy. So.
Okay. Are there any additional questions? Vice Mayor?
What's the traffic code for posting speed limit signs? Since there's none there, you know, you could come off of Oak Street and go north or south and not hit a speed limit sign for
Yeah.
several hundred feet. And I noticed that there's no speed limit signs in the area of Oak Street.
Yeah.
You know, if you stop somebody and they say, well, there's no posted sign, it is a city ordinance that if it's not posted, it's 25 miles an hour, but not everybody knows that, and if they go in front of a magistrate,
Yeah.
they might beat that charge, and it
Yeah.
ties an officer up at court.
It's state law.
Yeah.
And when you take your driver's license test, it's actually on the test. And it says that if it's not posted in a residential area, it's 25 miles per hour. But how many people, I agree, no one pays attention to it. And if you don't see it, it's like that speed trailer. If you don't see it as a reminder, people aren't going to pay attention to it. And it's just like this road. Any road that's wide and straight and has no interruptions, people are going to drive what they feel is safe. It's intuitive, it's natural, they're on autopilot. And that's why you run into that back and forth with traffic engineers setting speed limits. But you got to take those other factors in consideration: kids, bicycles, pedestrian, foot traffic, stuff like that. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of options put out. I myself am in favor of recommendation 1 with all the stop signs that you proposed, the 6 stop signs. And just to be more specific, I don't really care for the last paragraph where it says that you would automatically, if it warranted it, that you would automatically put the speed bumps in. I think that the data ought to be compiled and you come back to council to vote on whether there's going to be speed bumps. You've had one resident on Nylon Boulevard tonight that said he was not in favor of them, so or expressed his concern. So I think that we do the less intrusive thing to install the stop signs. Now, I'm open, if you want less, I mean, you had unanimous support, is what I understand, from residents on the street to have some measures done. And you know, but was it speed bumps? Was it stop signs? Was it all of the above?
Well, first of all,
was it?
yeah, he was gonna patrol it. It was, me and Chief had talked, and it was one incident, one vehicle was the main culprit. And
Black Dodge Charger,
Yep.
4-door.
not to call you no names,
We
yeah,
actually have other
And-
things happening with him.
Right.
So.
yeah.
Well, you know, that would be my contention, is to take recommendation 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, after your 90-day review, come back to the council
Yeah.
with a recommendation. The other thing is, you know, the traffic bump is not inexpensive. And it's going to come out of Mr. Mears' budget. We just passed the budget tonight, and money's tight. So I would prefer to have the council make that decision rather than have it be an interdepartment decision based on data that you're going to bring back. I mean, we would want to debate it just like we're debating it in front of the public, rather than have it seem like it was an arbitrary decision. Now, I trust that you would do it by the data, but to be free and open and transparent, I think the second measure should come before the council.
Yeah, no, I have no problem. We were trying to be thoughtful with council's time and trying to make sure that we could address it quicker with, in the fall, paving times and things like that. And it, just to be clear, it wasn't for us, it was for the city manager, you know, without bringing it back. But I think you make a good point, bring it back and let you determine that, obviously. So that was just a recommendation.
So could we make the proposal option 1 with the exception of the stop sign at Petunia and put the 2 in and see how it goes? I mean, putting a stop sign in later
What's
is an
that?
option. Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was just say Oak.
Okay, well, that's why he just said all three. so
Three,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah,
asked.
he said all six, yeah.
The motion can be crafted any way you want it to, but it just, I'm glad you get the votes or not.
Can I say one thing?
Please.
We have 2 council members that live on that street that know more about that street. I made a recommendation because I wanted to squash the problem. And sometimes that can be a little bit overzealous, you right? Because we're going to enforce it no matter what. So I would make a recommendation for the stop signs, absolutely. Speed humps are the exception, not the rule. So I would like to personally ask the 2 of them if they're okay. I have no problem with it if you put it there at Oak and see what happens. We can always add more and come back to
Right.
council.
I agree with that. I'd
Okay.
like to add the one at Oak.
Yeah, absolutely.
To see if what happens, and then you're still going to do the speed study.
Still going to go
So if we come
back.
back in 60 days and find that they're not slowing down,
Right,
we still
right.
have an issue, then we can
They
proceed
might
on.
do more measures.
So we know that Councilman Holland's got a long drive to get across from Stein Highway up there.
Could we also just, we have 2 residents who spoke on it earlier. Can we just ask their thought as well, or not?
This is not a public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. One point of order though. If you're making the motion, you say 1 stop sign.
What's,
You want the 2 stop signs at Oak?
2.
That-
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I wanna make sure
three-way
that-
stops, three-way stop.
Just want to make sure that was
Yeah.
said correctly.
Can I ask for a second clarification? Also, I believe, based on the discussion, bullet number 2 in the chief's memo, posting the speed limit signs is desired as well.
yeah, right, absolutely.
Yep.
That was
Thank
the
you.
first measure.
All right.
I hate to ask any more questions for the chief. I think we're all on the same page here. At this time, if there are no further questions, I'll set the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve a recommendation to install 2 stop signs at the intersection of Oak Street and Nylon Boulevard with the installation of 25-mile speed limit signs at intervals proposed. After a 90-day review period, return to council if necessary with data and a recommendation to install speed bumps or other traffic measures.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Henderson. Is there a second?
Want me a second? Councilman Quillen, I'll second it.
We have a second from Councilman Quillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Chief, before you go,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you. We are all about transparency here.
Yes, sir.
You brought up social media. It reminded me of an incident that was relayed to me about an area in the city. I quickly relayed that to you.
Yeah.
You quickly relayed that to your department. I'm talking about 4 hours, maybe tops,
Yeah.
where you guys had put things on social media, letting them know that the attention was being made, that the public had brought to your attention. Overwhelmingly public support about that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that goes to great communication in the department and immediate address to what the community is telling you.
Yeah.
So I just want to let you know how much we appreciate you doing that.
We appreciate it. Appreciate the support.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
I
you.
also want to say thank you for the
You're
time that
welcome.
your department put into this too as well. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we'll be keeping in contact.
Can
I
you put
think-
a speed bump out front of his driveway? I'd love that.
That's
I'd
what
love
he
to see
just
that.
did.
Well, we got portable speed bumps. We could put one in
No
front of
sooner
us.
than I tell my phone, we have
I'm
it
just kidding.
Yeah. All right,
you.
we'll move on to old business.
We have none, sir.
We have none. All right. Do we have any reminder of meetings? I believe we do.
Yes, sir. City offices and utility divisions will be closed June 19th in observant of the Juneteenth holiday. Friday Night Live is June 20th, 5 p.m. at the grass lot behind City Hall here. And then movie night in the park, June 27th, 8:30 p.m. Again, grass lot behind City Hall. That's all I have, sir.
Director Hickey, we got a movie picked out yet? Hey, saw that one in the theater. All right. All right, we're going to move on to our liaison reports. Code, Parks and Recreation, and Councilwoman Stephanie Grassett.
I'll start with the Code Department report. 210 permits have been issued so far in 2025, Rental licenses stayed the same at 1,832 units. Rental license late fees have been sent. They are scheduling and completing rental inspections and doing routine inspections for ongoing projects throughout the city, as well as for violation inspections throughout the city. As far as large projects, Muirfield, Phase 4, the permits have been issued to Ryan Homes for 40 lots in Phase 4. Bel Air Single Family, they have 2 lots remaining for construction. The Western Sussex Business Campus is waiting final inspection and may possibly have some tenants, possibly 2, looking in that area. And the Nylon Capital Shopping Center, the demolition is progressing at the old Woolworths building. The exterior facade work on Dollar Tree and Community Bank looks like it's wrapping up. They've started the fit-out permit for Bright Bloom has been issued. They started renovations at the old grocery store, and the elevator shaft is up for Del Tech, and the steel should be going in soon. They have had some issues this week working with sewer, but they have resolved those. As far as Parks and Recreation, Parks and Rec helped to set up chairs and tents for our Memorial Day service that was held on May 26th. They have been out and about with their new seasonal part-time workers, especially cutting grass throughout common areas in our city, and also some of the violations that code is working on. They have overseeded the soccer fields, and they have had some delays in a couple of the events or the sports that they are hosting because of rain, but they've been working on reschedules. They have 5 kids registered for youth pickleball. They have submitted information for grant funding for the solar lights in Oyster House Park and the Riverwalk railing. They are also placing fertilizer on all the athletic fields. They have replaced posts and rails around Hooper's Landing Golf Course. They held a successful Friday Night Live on June 6th, even though we all had our fingers crossed about rain, but it went off. They held their final week of youth soccer. Congratulations to the 9U NYC Football Club and the 13U New York Red Bulls for winning the championships, and there's a picture of both of those teams. And they now are actually up to 12 youth signed up for the pickleball clinic. It begins on June 16th. And they have met with Callaway Corporation regarding options for the recreational building, so that as the city can be starting to look at those options as soon as we get the options available. We have the next Friday Night Live, I believe, on June 20th, and that is my report.
There's a lot going on there, Councilwoman. Very good. All right, going to move over to our police and fire and Vice Mayor Dan Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 complete reports from the fire chief and the police chief. In order to be a little more brief, I'll just go down the total department responses for 2025 are 2,574 calls for an average of 16 calls per day for the department. Moving down to significant incidents, you had 1 in the city, 339 North Market, for a working outbuilding fire. That was on May 29th. The other alarms were out of the city or assists with other companies. Under apparatus, all Seaford Volunteer Fire Department apparatus is in service. You'll see a chart for the fuel data for April 30th through May 30th, the number of times and the gallons and net cost involved. The next chart will show you the training hours that personnel devoted to under emergency medical services. They're testing for the firefighter EMT position. 1 was completed on Friday, June 6th, and they're moving on to reference checks on the candidates and interviews. All 3 ambulances are in service. Lieutenant Alan Jarman has completed 9 years of service with Seaford Volunteer Fire Department as of May 13th. If you see him out and about, please congratulate him for his service and his continued service. The EMS fund drive is live. I did receive my envelope in the mail, as most City of Seaford and Fire District residents should be receiving them. I did receive mine in the mail, and I forgot it's sitting on my desk. I was going to bring it in to show you, but I'm sure it'll be in your mailbox soon if it's not already. Let me add to that, if the $75 annual donation for the EMS fund drive ensures if you use EMS services, you will not be billed what insurance does not cover for that subscription year. So that not only do you support the ambulance or the EMS service, but it's also potential cost savings. So you work it out, it's just a little over $1 a week for ambulance coverage. So that's a pretty good investment. Under 2025 community events, meetings, and fire prevention totals, there are 59 events with 622 total personnel with 1,302.75 hours devoted. The final facets report is on the Sussex County government's website, and the chief highly encourages you, and I, as well as I do, to review and ask questions of the fire department. Pardon me. The facets review is a fairly comprehensive review, albeit aged data. It was from 2021 to 23. Is that correct?
Yes,
It doesn't go. It's not actually current data, but it gives the relative health of fire departments in the county, and it highlights some of the struggles that all departments are facing. Some are more serious than others. So I'm not sure exactly what the county's going to do with this data, but it will have something to do with their level of commitment to funding as they continue to try to serve their districts. SVFD participated in the water days at Seaford Central Elementary and West Seaford Elementary in the past few days with Tanker 87. Did anybody see that? I'd like to understand if they got wet wouldn't buy the tanker.
Imagine the kids.
Yeah. Assistant Chief Holmes participated in a career day at Seaford Middle School to talk about careers in the fire EMS service on Thursday, June 5th. We thank him for doing that. Moving on to the Seaford Police Department, as always, the chief gives a comprehensive categorization of current year and previous years, going back to 2021. Keep in mind that the current year is only just about half over, so you're going to see some numbers that are a little bit, if you prorate them out, you might be encouraged. There are some numbers that are not looking so good, but there are other numbers that, especially in the traffic area, it looks like the traffic area, regardless of what's happening on Nylon Boulevard, it looks like there's fewer contacts and fewer citations being written. Under all crimes, 166, 14 felonies, 36 misdemeanors, 13 violations, and 103 other, for an 84% clearance rate. It moves up and down around 85, and that's considered above average. Additional crime rate, there were 22 complaints, 8 pending active, 2 pending inactive, and I forget the acronyms on the others. 2 aggravated assault. Help me out, Chief. What's JA? JA, one juvenile arrest, okay. I'm getting bad with my acronyms.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, so, 1 unfounded and 8 EC. Exceptionally clear is 8, so,
You passed the pop quiz, Chief.
yeah. It's his report. So, under drug complaints, 14, drug crimes, 13 adult arrests, 1 prosecution declined. 0 overdoses in this period. Under traffic, 167 traffic contacts, 90 citations, and 27 warnings. 7 DUIs for under alcohol, no drug-related, 0 crash-related. There were 25 crashes in the period. 3 injury accidents, Front and High Street, North Market Street and Stein Highway, and Sussex Highway and Middle Ford Road. There were 3 hit-and-run accidents, 1 on private property, 1 on Sussex Avenue in Norman Eskridge, and 1 that precipitated a traffic study on East Ivy Drive. 2 pedestrian accidents, 1 on private property and 1 on Sussex Highway and Middle Ford Road. Now, pardon me, Chief, the pedestrian accident, I think you alluded to that earlier, that was a panhandling accident. Someone was. I don't see that in this. That's not in this period, but there was 1 on Sussex Highway and Middle Ford Road.
That was a person wearing all dark at that time, just walked right out.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I am going to leave it to you to review all of the significant events that happened across this period. There are quite a few of them here, so I'll leave it to you to review those. Under administration, CALEA meeting, they're moving along with the CALEA process. The Seaford Empowerment Coalition meeting was held. The chief and the deputy chief attended that on May 29th. The substation dedication, the chief and deputy chief attended, and then on June 6th, the nonviolent Seaford with Governor Meyer and for conversations about gun violence. That was chief and deputy chief. The Food On program is ongoing, and the police were present at the graduation on the 30th of May for the high school graduation, and there was a rally on June 1st. There was a rally for first responders, and that was there was a presentation to DJ Daniels, and there was a Kiwanis presentation on June 4th. The SPEAR team continues to train. And there was training for standardized field sobriety testing, instructor course, and that was Corporal Ruark. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to move over to administration and Councilman Orlando Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A meeting was held with Seaford Business Park developers regarding energy installation options, and they attended Representative Danny Sharp's coffee meeting, and they also attended NMAC Joint Council briefing, and they participated in Parks and Rec's seasonal interviews, and they also attended substation dedication to Bill and Dolores Slatcher, and attended various other meetings and events, and all their work is routine, and that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. Going to move over to electric and Councilman Mike Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Met with Bill Bennett and Greg Brook this morning, along with our city manager. The annual substation maintenance at Pine and Ross substations were performed by Nick Moore and Jay Waller. Plaque at Pine Street substation has been illuminated. Excuse me, first day with my new tone. Trees have been trimmed on Arcadia, Washington, and Cedar. Conduit at Muirfield Phase 4 completed with secondary wire pulled in. Bel Air street lamps have been installed. Changed out some capacitor banks and sent the old switches to be refurbished. Replace insulators on a pole which received a lightning strike. Replace conduit arrestor on Arbutus. Perform work on circuit breakers 280 and 290 at the Pine Street substation. Reviewed a solar application. Worked on the final cost for the nylon building lamps. And last Tuesday we attended a DEMIC meeting up at Smyrna, which was quite interesting. My limited experience with electricity involves plugging a hairdryer into a 220 circuit, so needless to say, I'm a sponge when it comes to finding out as much as possible about electricity. And it was interesting because the CEO was there and I was able to have a conversation with her. Like I say, it was enlightening, no pun intended. Respectfully submitted, Mike Bradley.
That's some of your best work, Councilman. Gonna move over to Public Works and Wastewater Treatment Facility and Councilman Alan Quillen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why do I always have to follow him, huh? I'll start with Public Works. Cleaned up the yard from all the cleanup week. All the debris that was still left over, so that's all been cleaned up out of the yard. Received new service truck with the crane. Boarded up a house on Pond Street. Cleaned catch basins on Arch Street. Cleaned out valve boxes and exercise valves on Sussex Avenue Extended, and then came in at 11:30 p.m. and worked till 3:30 a.m. for the water main shutdown on the Sussex Avenue Extension. That was for the Nylon Capital complex. And repaired sewer lateral on Magnolia Drive. Replaced water service at 306 Porter Street. Root cut sewer lateral on Hickory Lane. Performed all routine tasks. Going over to the wastewater treatment facility. Director Mears reported facility looks fantastic without no violations. Good job, Mr. Mears. Dewatering is okay. Testing for a new polymer. Got that John Deere fixed and it's back in service. For about, what, a week? Maybe?
Like that one.
Completed septic, SCU, SSD reports, and May DMR. I'm working on acronyms too, Mr. Henderson. Okay, and then installed new BOD incubator. Ran bench tests with PAA. Need to run alternative testing requirements throughout DENREC. Replace worn guide wheels on sand filter bridges. Replace bad motor on a grip conveyor. Working on replacing worn Lovejoy couplings on anoxic mixers. You give me your tongue.
No, thanks.
And that completes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Quillen. Before we adjourn for tonight, I believe there's some slides from last event. It came together very well. Comcast donated a award to the Western Sussex Boys and Girls Club, $20,000 grant award to support local youth with digital skills, training, and career development. It's through the My Future education platform. Got a chance to attend with our governor, Matt Meyer, Vice Mayor Henderson, Councilman and Councilwoman were in attendance, and the multi-talented Trish Newcomer was also in attendance. It came together very nice. Jermaine Duncan and his team did a great job with it. Again, the Comcast team, not only were they there to present the grant, but they were also passing out the food. They handed out the food to, I think, there was over 100 kids that were there. Always good to see that kind of event here locally. The grant was announced at a recent Team Up event in partnership with Sportsman Channel at the Western Sussex Boys and Girls Club. And again, just want to thank them for this event. That money is going to go to good use for the youth in our area. And with that, I will ask for an adjournment.
Councilman Quillen, so moved.
A motion from Councilman Quillen. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Second from Councilman Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Good night.